Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. Glad to have you with me this morning. I wanted to share an idea with you that I came across the other day from Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan, who wrote the book, The Gap and the Gain. This is a great book. You can get it on Amazon Books. In fact, I'll put a link in the show notes. But there's this overall problem that a lot of high achievers face. I know I've faced it in my life. You probably do as well. And that is that, we're constantly improving and achieving, but we're never satisfied. Right? And it makes it really difficult to be able to enjoy the moment, stay in the moment. We talk about being part of the journey and having the journey be the real focus. But maybe you've been there. Look, have you ever set a goal? You've worked really hard for it. You've reached that goal, and yet it just still didn't satisfy you. In fact, you end up just setting another goal, which is even higher, another benchmark, another peak to be able to perform towards. I found this in my life as well as I was going through my career and my successes, and the successes kept going and they never seemed to be enough. And that's why I kind of started to focus more on creating the life I wanted and ultimately just focusing on becoming a better person and attracting the success into my life. But this book that I came across and this idea, this concept of the gap and the gain, had a really, really great perspective on this whole process. And so I thought I'd share that with you here today. Let me start by just summarizing sort of the key ideas behind this book. And the key idea is that we all have this ideal, quote unquote, this ideal, and it's a moving target, unfortunately, that's sort of always out of our reach. We want to get to this point, then we want to get to that point, then we want to get to that point. It's like constantly moving. And when we measure ourselves against that ideal, there's always a gap between where you are and where you want to go. But when we measure ourselves against our previous selves, our background, our history, our past, we're always in a gain because we're always further ahead. Especially with high achievers, you've always made progress. You've always accomplished a lot of things. And so when we measure backwards, we're actually in a gain rather than a gap looking forwards. And being in the gain has a really huge impact on your mindset. It gives you more motivation, confidence, success. And so we always want to measure backwards, even though we're always pushing forwards. And that's the concept of this book and this idea behind the gap and the gain. So let me break it down for you a little bit. I wrote several notes of things that I thought would be good to kind of cover with you. And the first part is, the gap is sort of this attachment we have to something outside of ourselves, because it's always something in the future. We're never satisfied until we get what we want, but it's never really enough. And so it always leaves you wanting, right? You're always wanting. The gain is really based on knowing what you want, but it's knowing that you don't have to have it to be happy. So when you're in the gain, it means you're enjoying the journey. And you're able to create this freedom from your wants, the things that you've got to have. And creating that freedom is what helps you to enjoy life and have more fulfillment and happiness. And so when you look backwards and you're measuring backwards, it allows you more gratitude and it allows you the ability to be free from those future wants. I always talk about don't let your vision of the future rob you of the joy of the present. Well, measuring backwards your gains, that's one way to be able to help you to do that. So I ask you, what are your goals right now? Are they all externally focused? Are they all things outside of yourself? Because that creates a gap when there's things you want that are all outside of your control, outside of yourself. And what are some internal gains that you can add to your life and to your milestones? This internal progress, this internal growth, this internal happiness. That's the first kind of thought I want to leave you with. Then I want to talk to you about how wanting external things means that you're never really going to be in control of what you're doing because the goalposts are always moving. So if you learn to create internal focus and internal milestones, what you're doing is you're taking back control of your life and your perspective. Because internal focus and finding things that you can recognize for success internally means that you can create the parameters of your success. And you can live more in the present. So how often do you compare yourself to others, for example, that's outside of yourself? How often do you spend time on social media? So you're creating this focus of external things and your attention is going towards external things. And it makes it constantly pulling you into this gap of what you don't have. And remember, our goal is to get you into the gain of what you've already accomplished and training your brain for success. So how do you get into the gap, and how do you get out of this, or how do you get out of the gap and get into the gain? One way to do that is through this idea the Stoics have, the Stoic philosophy, and that is you can imagine losing everything that you have. Because they do a couple of things. The Stoic philosophy talks about how you can imagine yourself losing everything you have. And what that does is it allows you to put more value on it. We all know that when you lose something, you tend to value it more. So if you can imagine yourself losing things, that will help you to create more value on those things you already have. Another thing the Stoics do is they reflect on their mortality. See, when you reflect on the fact that you may not be here tomorrow, it really helps you to value what you have today. And so getting in the gain is, there's a couple ways to do that with the Stoics that allows you to get into the gain. And what that does is it helps you to create this compound effect in your life and really accelerate your gratitude and your growth and your focus on success. Not focus on what you don't have, but focus on what you do have. Another thing that I thought this book really brought out is if you'll always measure backwards, it'll allow you to be able to stay inside the gain. And the ways that you do that is through like journaling, for example. Journaling is a really effective way to be able to constantly recognize your growth. And keep in mind that your KPIs, your key performance indicators in your business or in your life, they should always measure where you're going, but they really should measure what you've accomplished. When you measure your progress, this is a key to enjoying the moment when you've measured the progress you've made versus the variance you have towards your goal that you still have to hit, right? We're always sometimes measuring what we have left to do to get to our goal. What I'm saying, and I want to really emphasize, is measuring your progress you've made already allows you to enjoy the moment, and it allows you to really it'll help motivate you more. It'll help you to push your confidence, your self-esteem, your resilience, because you see the progress you're making. You're not just seeing what you still have to do. So I'd ask you, what are your accomplishments that you've done so far? What wins have you made? What wins can you acknowledge and celebrate right now? And it's important for you to find and celebrate those short-term wins because it'll get you in a success mindset. And that's the goal, get in a success mindset. So what I recommend is you measure these wins daily. And the best time to do this is right before bed because, for example, if you're scrolling through your phone or social media right before bed, you're training your mind to be reactive and to focus on the things that are external to your life. But if you're recognizing your wins before bed, let's say you're journaling, which is a great way to do this. You journal and write down 3 things you accomplished today. You're going to be training your mind to focus on success and to focus on what you've achieved. And this is a thing that really helps your brain to start focusing on abundance versus scarcity, what you don't have that's outside you versus inside. And Pearson's Law, which is a great way because Pearson's Law states when performance is measured, performance improves. We all know that, right? When performance is measured, performance improves. But when performance is measured and reported, the rate of improvement accelerates. The rate of improvement accelerates. So by journaling your wins, it's not just about recognizing wins, it's about journaling and celebrating your wins. You're going to accelerate your performance. And I really believe that journaling at the end of the day, or another way to do this is to create an accountability partner so that there's someone that you can report your wins to and they can help you to celebrate those wins. That's another way to do that as well. And then the last thought I wanted to kind of leave with you is learn to make every lesson or experience in your life a gain. And what I mean by that is it's not about just being positive. It's not about turning every situation in life into a positive. What I'm saying is when you're in the gain, it's about finding ways to take every situation or experience that you have and make it serve you. And make it serve you. What I mean is rather than a victim mindset, you're in a creator mindset. So are you taking responsibility and empowering yourself by taking your situations and lessons in life and finding the wins? Or are you playing the victim and disempowering yourself by looking at what you don't have because of something or looking at what it's keeping you from where you want to be? I hope that makes sense. So this topic, the reason I brought this whole thing up is I thought it would give you some fresh perspective and also give you a few strategies to work on in your own life. Because I truly believe that learning to measure backwards, and I hadn't really thought about it this way, but measuring backwards while still motivating yourself with the future vision of where you want to be really helps you to become more productive and create more results. Because let's be really frank here. You are not the same person you were a year ago. You are not the same person you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And I don't care where you're at, because you're a high achiever, because you're listening to, just the simple fact you're listening to this podcast, you're growing every single day. And all of us have made progress, and all of us have accomplished things in life, even if that accomplishment is just overcoming obstacles. And that is going to put you in the game. That's going to put you into abundant mindset. That's going to put you into training your mind to find the successes. And when you do that, you're going to accelerate and compound your own success. So I appreciate you listening today. That's the thought I wanted to leave you with. If you haven't already, like and subscribe this podcast. And another thing is put this, tag this in your stories and tag the Daily Mastermind. If you'll do that, I'll know who you are. I can respond, comment, throw a shout out. I really look forward to helping you. Also, if you click into the show notes of this, I'll add a link to either the audiobook or the hardcover book on Amazon. There's got some discounts there to get this book if you want to get a copy of it. But have an amazing week. I look forward to talking with you more tomorrow. I've got a motivational message for you tomorrow from Les Brown. So I look forward to talking with you then. Have an amazing week. My name is George Wright III, and this has been the Daily Mastermind.